enormous numbers of people who are having adulterous relationships, depending on how you define them, and so forth. So the statistics really go anywhere from sort of 25% to 75%, which is, because it depends what who you do it with and what your relationship is, or whether you're married or supposedly monogamous. So I do think we have to acknowledge it's an enormous issue. So that's just for starters. It does seem that more women are engaging in these activities than they used to, but that could be reporting error. It could be that women have been fooling around all this time, but they didn't admit it as much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the numbers are tricky, but we know it's a problem. And so my take on it is that first we have to recognize that human sexuality is probably not designed. We did not evolve for long-term, lifelong monogamous relationships. And I think if we're going to make the choice to be monogamous, that then we need to be in integrity about that commitment. And the fact that we're going to be attracted to other people is normal. The world is full of yummy people. And certainly we're going to go around and meet people and look at people and go, oh, yum, that looks nice. It's sort of like shopping for shoes or something. I mean, you can always go window shopping and look and go, oh, that's a nice pair of shoes. They'd look good on me. But whether you actually go buy the shoes or not, that should depend on whether you can afford them. And whether you follow up on those attractions should depend on what kind of agreements and commitments you've made. So if you've agreed to be monogamous, then don't have sex with anybody else. And if you decide you don't want to be monogamous anymore, then you have to go to your partner and go, this is not working. Could we try an open relationship, and what would that look like? Or do we need to complete this relationship so I can be free to explore other relationships? We need to be in integrity. We need to model that for people and let people know that there are ways to be non-monogamous and be in integrity. You can be polyamorous. You could be a swinger. There are people who choose to be sexual with more than one person, but they're not lying, they're not cheating. And that's an option for some people who want that and have the relationship skills to manage it. Or then people should learn to be in integrity, and we don't get good modeling for any of that in our culture. So I just want to make the note that it's really important for people to start trying to be in integrity in their relationships, and that means telling the truth, and it means keeping your agreements. And if your agreements aren't working for you, then you've got to make new agreements with people. So that's sort of my take on it. Okay.
Is it really true that 10% of women have never had an orgasm?
I think it is. I think it is. I can tell you from my years of clinical practice and teaching that seems like a fairly accurate statistic, and that is a lot of unhappy women out there. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with those women. It's just there's some things they haven't learned how to do yet. Again, like playing the piano, there's nothing wrong with you if you don't know how to play the piano, but there's some skills you haven't learned, and if you want to learn, you can, except it's easier to find some place to take piano lessons than it is to find some place to take orgasm lessons.
However, your book is full of some great tips on that. Let's get the word out on that. Where can people get your book?
Well, you can always go to my website, which is intimateartscenter.com. That's intimate arts, plural, intimateartscenter.com. And you can get it directly from us. You can also get it from Amazon. So you can also either go to my name. You can either look up Sheri Winston, and it's Sheri, Winston, like the cigarette, or the name of the book, Women's Anatomy of Arousal. So there's a couple different ways to get it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about what you call banging boomers, the aging people, things that will help them keep an active, enjoyable sex life.
Oh, this is a great topic because we're definitely, I'm in the end of the baby boomer generation, and this aging thing, I can tell you, it's everything it's not cracked up to be. Right? Everything people have been telling me all these years about needing to reading glasses and creaky knees and all that stuff, I'm getting it now. So I think it's really important to keep our sexual juice going. And I think that there are lots of things we can do to keep that happening. First of all, I think our foundational relationship is with ourselves. So for people who don't have partners, and also for people who do have partners, that we need to cultivate our solo sexual relationship, as well as all the other ways we can take care of ourselves by, getting enough rest and making sure we have downtime and exercise and all the good stuff that we've been hearing about all this time. And I think taking time to have great sex with ourselves is part of that. And I think we also need to recognize the changes of aging are normal and not freak out too much. So for men, it's pretty common as men get older that Mr. Everready may not be quite at the level of attention that he used to get to quite easily. So that's okay. For most men, it takes more stimulation to get an erection. It might wax and wane during a lovemaking session. That's okay. There are all sorts of things one can do physically, energetically, medically to help that, but to just know it's normal and it's not the end of the world. For women, we've got the whole menopause thing, and that creates all kinds of havoc with everything. And again, to know that it's normal to have these changes, and rather than sort of fight them or deny them, to kind of gracefully learn how to accommodate them, which can be some things as simple as using extra lubricant if now things are drier down there than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can also find not just the sort of now I have to use extra lube, what a bummer. Instead, we can look at it and go, oh, well, now I have a new thing I can explore. And now if you're having partner sex, our sex doesn't have to be so focused on intercourse. We can start expanding and exploring other forms of sexual pleasure. So I think we can find the positives in this and the opportunities in our aging.
There's so many. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I had this wonderful consultation with a woman. She was 81, and her husband was, I think, 83. And for medical reasons, he had not been able to get an erection for many years. And I was doing a consultation with her, because I do consultations for people too, about some health issues she had. And she was so sweet, because she's like, oh yeah, we haven't had intercourse for years, but we have a wonderful time. We do this and we do that, and we just have great sex still. And it just made me so happy to hear her talking like that, because she was just, yeah, well, that's not on the menu anymore, but we have all these other things. And I just thought she had the best attitude, and I just want people to know that that's the right attitude, to enjoy what you've got and what you can have, and use it, to explore what's possible.
Right, because I was going to bring up the fact that about sexless marriages, a lot of people think that, okay, well, now I'm this age and sex is over. That was something I did when I was younger. And it's almost a bit of an epidemic with some couples.
Yeah, and sometimes it has to do with aging, and sometimes it just has to do with having been with the same partner for a long time. It's easy for the spark to die out when you're with somebody, 10, 20, 30 years, but there are things we can do to keep the juice going and keep that spark alive. And I think that sex is both the glue and the lubricant of long-term relationships. So I think it's really,
I like that.
Right? I mean, because if you're not having that, then you might as well just be, you're like roommates.
Yeah.
Like, just two people who happen to live in the same house and share a bank account. But I think it is worth doing the things we need to do, whatever that work is, of making sure we have enough time and that we have intimacy and connection, and that we bring new ideas and play into our sex, because then we can keep it. We can have great sex with the same person for the rest of our lives if we put some energy into it. I don't think it happens naturally. I think if we just follow the natural course, you fall madly in love and you can't keep your hands off each other, and then over the years it gets less and less and less until it finally, can evaporate if we don't do anything about it. But we can consciously decide we want to rev things up, and if we decide that, then there are lots of ways we can do that. But we have to choose it.
All right. Sheri Winston, ladies and gentlemen, the author of Women's Anatomy of Arousal, and that's available on Amazon and also Intimate Arts Center, and that's arts with an S. Thanks so much, Sheri.
Oh, it is such a pleasure. I'm always happy to talk about sex.
And what do you want to leave our listeners with today?
Well, I would love to also let them know at the Center for the Intimate Arts we're developing online curriculum now. And so we have a bunch of webinar classes that people can watch on their computer and listen to in the privacy of their own home by themselves or with their partner. So besides traveling all over the country to teach classes in person, we're starting to expand this online curriculum so that there are easy ways to learn how to have orgasms and keep the juice in your marriage. So,
sounds great. Thanks so much, Sheri.
Thank you for having me on.
And this is Tom Murasso from BornToManifest.com signing off. We'll see you next time. Peace out, and we love you.